Yo, what's up YouTube family? It's your boy Koozie and I'm back at you with another hot TikTok reaction video. Today we're going to be reacting to some creepy and woke TikToks. These videos are for entertainment purposes. Don't believe anything you hear or see in these videos. Don't believe anything I say in these videos. Always use your own discernment. Always do your own research. With that said, if you're new to the channel, let's go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop some new hot content that you definitely don't want to miss. Let's get right to the content.
When the three planets are in eclipse, the black hole like a door is open. Evil comes, spreading terror and chaos.
Oh man. Woo. Man, y'all, things are getting really creepy out here, man. I think all those things might have something to do with each other, man. It ain't nothing's ever coincidence. That's all I'm gonna say. And these videos are not the fearmonger or cause any type of trauma, fear. You know what I mean? Hey, we just here to keep you on your P's and Q's and keep you aware. That's it. Let's get right to it, man. This video is gonna be good. If I was y'all, I would not skip ahead because you're definitely gonna miss something.
We are the only race in our galaxy. Well, I'm going to say this really carefully. We are the only race in our galaxy that kills itself, that kills each other, that turns on itself. We're the only ones. We are the only race that allows its race to live in abject poverty. We are the only ones that allow members of our race to starve. We are the only ones to allow our race to be homeless. And we are the only race that would sell their own race into slavery.
Something to think about, guys.
How does nobody know what CERN is, and why is nobody talking about it restarting on April 8th, the exact same day as the American solar eclipse? Coincidence? I think not. Let's look at the potential dangers, shall we? So CERN is focused on trying to create dark matter by smashing particles together, essentially trying to open a portal. If that's not stuff from nightmares, let's look at what could happen on April 8th. The gravitational forces at play during a solar eclipse are delicate and critical in maintaining the celestial harmony. Introducing the high-energy collisions at CERN could disrupt these forces, leading to unforeseen consequences, such as changes in the eclipse's duration or intensity. Also, speculations have arisen regarding the creation of mini black holes or the opening of getaways to parallel universes during experiments at CERN. The alignment of such activities with the celestial event of a solar eclipse raises concerns about the possible distortion of time, space, or the fabric of reality itself. Additionally, the complex experiments conducted at CERN involve the release of immense energy levels. When combined with the unique conditions of a solar eclipse, there is a risk of triggering unstable energy reactions that could have catastrophic implications for both the environment and human safety. Given that, the symbol is made up of 666. I do not think that this is in the best interest for anyone. Write any thoughts on what would happen.
Spooky, guys. It's getting spooky out here. Like I say, nothing's ever coincidence. So there's something that we should be watching out for, y'all. And I believe there's a reason why they're giving out those notices about being prepared for this. And I don't think it's just the mass population that's gonna be, rushing those areas that's gonna be, in the line of the eclipse. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Is there some more to this or not?
Okay, folks, I've been to CERN. CERN is very, very weird. I was actually there a couple of years ago when Russ Dizdar was still alive, well before COVID. So we're there at CERN, and we're being taken by a docent who's like basically just parroting what he's been told to say. So we're in this place where the statue of Shiva is the Indian god of death, basically the destroyer. And I look at the docent and I go, what's this doing here? He has no answer for it at all. Basically, here's the bottom line, and this is something that we need to really delve into here. CERN is built on the site of the ancient temple of Apollyon. Tom Horn, who passed away last year, very untimely, wrote about this. So CERN is at this ancient temple. They're going to open up and start using CERN and testing it the day of the eclipse. I mean, what are we looking at here? Is that deliberate? In my opinion, it's absolutely deliberate. Something is going on. Here's what I think is going on. The powers that be, are opening up CERN in coordination with the eclipse to open up a gateway, a portal. And that's what I think these sites really are all about. Now, when you go to the Serpent Mound in Ohio, it doesn't look anything like CERN, but it's ancient. And it's just in Ohio. And it's the longest serpent effigy on the planet. Now, some people will dispute that, that's fine. But it's the one that I go to. And that Serpent Mound the serpent is undulating. And the serpent's mouth is open like this. Guess what? The whole thing is built on the solstices, the equinoxes. They're big into this. And these sites are charged. The site at CERN is charged. The Serpent Mound in Ohio is a charged site. If you want to know more, check out our On the Trail of a Nephilim series, number 3, Secrets of the Supernatural. Thanks so much for watching. I am L.A. Marzulli.
Y'all, that's definitely something to check out, man, because he got some gems to drop for us, man, and I'm definitely gonna be uploading some clips of that, what he was talking about, you know what I mean, because it's gonna be very, very interesting. Let's get it, guys.
Should we really recreate the Big Bang during the total solar eclipse on April 8th? I don't think so, but CERN seems to think it's a great idea. They are going to turn on the world's most powerful particle accelerator to see exactly what happens seconds after the Big Bang and study dark matter. No, I am not exaggerating one little bit. Recreating the Big Bang is exactly what CERN does. Every time they power up the LHC, which is 17 miles long, I might add, it recreates seconds after the Big Bang, and then they study all the particles that come about. That's how they found the God particle, or the Higgs boson particle. Higgs boson particle is fundamental force-carrying particle. It gives everything on Earth mass. So without this particle, we'd have nothing. We didn't know about this particle until 2012. How do I think that this is just a bad idea overall? Because Stephen Hawking warned us 10 years ago that this machine could become unstable and create black holes that would suck up everything in existence. He said not to worry about it back then because they would need a much stronger Hadron Collider. They've made it stronger, they've made it bigger in the past 10 years, and they're going to fire it up on April 8th.
Woo! Something to worry about, I believe.
One of CERN's goals is to recreate Jacob's Ladder and to reopen a portal that is said to have existed between Earth, Mars, Venus, and Saturn when the planets were in alignment many years ago. CERN are pretty sure that other dimensions do, and they're making it their goal to ensure that they open the portal for their use. One of CERN's goals.
All around us is dark matter and dark energy. It's the invisible stuff that
CERN is getting out of hand, man, for real. This is getting really wicked.
Binds the galaxy together and makes up more than 95% of the universe. But no one has been able to directly detect it. Scientists only know it exists from the effects that it has. Recently, a group of scientists announced that they believe they can explain dark matter using a particle that, according to them, can travel to the 5th dimension. Scientists, in a research published in the European physical journal C, claim that the particle can shed light on dark matter. According to the latest research, 5D equations have been created that indicate the ramifications of an extra dimension in our universe and reality as we know it. All around us is dark matter and dark energy. It's the invisible stuff that binds the galaxy together and makes up more than 95% of the universe. But no one has been able to directly detect it. Scientists only know it exists from the effects that it has. Recently, a group of scientists announced that they believe they can explain dark matter using a particle that, according to them, can travel to the fifth dimension. Scientists, in a research published in the European physical journal C, claim that the particle can shed light on dark matter. According to the latest research, 5D equations have been created that indicate the ramifications of an extra dimension in our universe and reality as we know it. All around us is dark matter and dark energy. It's the invisible stuff that binds the galaxy together and makes up more than 95% of the universe. But no one has been able to directly detect it.
Man, I don't know why he recorded it twice, but that's something to think about, y'all. Dark matter. I will be coming out with a video about dark matter pretty soon. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's gonna be good.
So anyway, we get in our car and take the bridge out of town. While all the while they're still going. Dad, they're
firing the rocket!
All right! It's times like this I wish I were a religious man.
It's all over, people. We don't have a prayer. Ah!
Oh. For me, I think it freaked me out a little bit was this picture they used for here, and it was like exactly how the moon looked in what we just saw. But guys, why are you guys shooting rockets and where are you shooting them from? I think that intrigued me a little bit more. You said you're shooting rockets to test the distance and all the other crap you tried to say, but you are shooting them in the moon's shadow, which is intriguing to me because interesting. A lot of us don't think the moon has a shadow. A lot of us don't believe in the black side of the moon. We're still questioning the things in the sky. For me, it's you guys shooting from Virginia, which is basically the DMV, and all these things are here. Which is really cool because if you miss your rocket or something and it happens to hit a vital place, like, I don't know, where people's birth certificates are, where vital records are that only you guys would have the backups to, that would be cool that we would be changing history and health records after the Rothschilds just played with the records from COVID. That would be so cool. And then, yeah, I saw this. I just thought it was really intriguing that the astronauts have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame when that's for actors. I think we're all done acting. Okay? We don't want cake. Y'all stay safe.
Are y'all peeping the gems in the game that girl was dropping, that lady was dropping? Hey, I'm telling you, y'all got to be paying attention, man, because it's all out there. They putting it right in front of our faces, y'all. All the time, in the movies, the cartoons, TV shows, all that. Let's get it, man.
So anyway.
That's crazy.
This is another video showing y'all why it's important that y'all clean y'all fruit off before y'all eat it. As y'all can see, all these microscopic bugs that y'all are eating when y'all don't wash y'all fruit off. We see all these little critters posted up on a block on the strawberry. Watch what they look like after he washed the strawberry off. Gone. But I'm gonna show y'all something else. They look like they are gone, but this is why you have to let them sit in baking soda and vinegar before you eat them.
Watch this.
Putting it under the microscope. Now look.
Ew.
It's still critters. This is why you let your food sit in baking soda and vinegar. Y'all let me know in the comments though, is y'all washing y'all fruit off before y'all eat it? Or do y'all like the extra protein that come with not washing y'all fruit off? Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned.
Hey man, shout out to my boy Wisdom Blast, man. Y'all go show him some love, man, on all his channels, man. And I want to show y'all some love too, man. Thank y'all for all the love and support. You know what I'm saying? The new subscribers, the subscribers that been here with me since day one. I'm talking about the other channel, you know what I mean? And on this channel, man. Y'all the real MVPs, man. Y'all let me know though. Y'all gonna be eating some strawberries like that with the extra protein, or y'all gonna be washing them off, man? Me, myself, I'm not even gonna mess with those strawberries, because most of the time whenever I get strawberries at the store, they already on their way out. Like, when I say out, I mean like out, like dated. Like they already molded and mildewing already, man. So I don't even bother to waste my time or money fooling with them. You know, because I already know it's disgusting, man. It's disgusting, man. Y'all, let me know what y'all think about that clip down below in the comment section. That was one for the books, man. Everybody need to see that one for real, for real. Let's get it, man. Hope not.
Demonic technology. This is what Elon.
We need a little humor every now and then, y'all guys, but we hope that don't happen. I think that was from the black hole. I mean, not the black hole. Yeah, black hole formed at CERN from shooting the rockets, or maybe it was one of the rockets that was supposed to hit the shadow of the moon. Did exactly what the Simpsons said it did. It hit somewhere in the DMV or hit somewhere, you know, on Earth, and hey, almost annihilated all of us. That's what it looked like to me. What did it look like to you? Let me know down below in the comment section.
Musk has called CERN's Large Hadron Collider, and CERN has just found a ghost-like entity within their collider. This just adds fire to the conspiracies. Imagine you're playing a video game and you suddenly stumble upon a secret level that the game developers never talked about. That's a bit like this, but with more demons, so like the game Doom, except it'll be on Earth and the demons will be here. CERN's main job is to smash tiny particles together at incredible speeds to see what smaller bits come out of these collisions. CERN has found a lot of particles this way, but this time they found signals in their data that didn't match any of the particles they knew about. They announced that they had isolated a resonant ghost that affects how particles behave inside their superproton synchrotron. These ghost or occulted particles could essentially explain what the universe...
Why will he use the words ghost and then occulted, man? Because when you say occulted, all I'm thinking about is occult. You know what I mean? I mean, we know what it means, but I'm saying the word occult is all I got out of that. You know, I don't think about y'all, but that's crazy wording, man.
...in reality consist of outside our current understanding, or what they call the current theory of particle physics, the Standard Model. The next challenge is proving these particles exist, since they are rarely detected and can pass straight through everything. What the f***?
You need to leave!
Now, come on, man. If y'all say y'all found these particles, then why would y'all say y'all have to do tests to make sure they exist? So do they exist or do they not? Come on, man. Y'all gotta come on with the BS, man. Y'all don't fall for the boo-boo, man. Come on.
Now, why is this so important? Because CERN is about to start up the Hadron Collider, ladies and gentlemen, on April 8th. On the day of the biggest solar eclipse in American history, where millions of people are flying from around the world, they are going to collide these hadron atoms, these protons, these electrons are going to be collided on this day. Now, why in the world would they choose April 8th to do this? I have no idea. But this company is creepy on every level, and I'll tell you why. Not only is CERN in CERN, Switzerland, but I want to show you this because this is cause for, in my opinion, a cause for alarm, and here's why. If you take a look at where it's actually at, okay, A large portion of CERN is located in the territory of St. Genus Poli, probably not pronouncing that right. In Roman times, it was called Apollicum. The town and the temple were dedicated to Apollyon, the destroyer. So this is ancient Horus. This is Shiva. The town Apollyon literally is dedicated to the god of destruction, the god of chaos, the destroyer. And this entire Hadron Collider is right in the middle of Apollyon. Now, why is that so important? Because if you go to the book of Revelation, this is what we read. It says in chapter 9, verse 1, 2, and 11, to him was given the keys of the bottomless pit, and he opened the bottomless pit. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon. Now, you might not find that just a coincidence, but the fact that they've got this Hadron Collider, which some people, even very, very important scientists, are scared out of their mind of what is going to happen. Now, CERN will tell you on their website, we have no intention of doing anything wrong. Who has intention of blowing up the world? Who has intention of accidentally cracking open a time-space continuum and having something on the other side? Well, I believe they're not telling the full truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So take a look at this quote straight from the director of research at CERN concerning the exact purpose of this Hadron Collider. Listen to this. Quote, something may come through dimensional doors at LHC, the Large Hadron Collider. And out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of CERN, they tell you it's all for scientific research. No, they're looking for the God particle. They want to know what's holding the universe together. And ultimately, they're trying to get into time travel. They want to open up the curtain of what is behind our dimension and get into the multiverse. This is what they're after. They believe there are multiple universes happening and in parallel to one another simultaneously, and they want to tear that open. And they know that something has the potential of coming through it. Now, we just read out of the book of Revelation that the Apollyon comes out, that the doors of the deep the gates are opened up, and crazy things come out of the deep. Could it possibly be, would it be that much of a stretch to say that maybe we're the ones that do it? Maybe in our effort in mankind to find a wormhole, to get into Star Trek world, to discover more and more and more and more, like the Tower of Babel, that eventually maybe we actually do open up the space-time continuum. We open up the doors of the second dimension, and the demonic realm comes alive onto this earth. It's very possible. They just said that's exactly what they know is possible. So for what's really fascinating is evolution is dead. The scientists at the highest level now know there is a spiritual realm. There is another dimension beyond ours, and they're trying to tap into it. And my friends, the last time this happened was the Tower of Babel, and it didn't go over too well for them.
Man, he was dropping some gems, man, some straight gems, man. Now, they say they know it's possible that something could come through, or maybe they'll send something through the door. So it is confirmed that they are trying to open up portals to other dimensions. Why? That's crazy. We know why. 666, CERN 666. Yeah. And man, it's possible that they trying to open up the door to let Apollyon or Abaddon through. It's something to think about, and it's gonna weigh heavy on your mind. But it's possible. And from what he said in the quotes of the good word, it seems very possible that that's what's going on. The eclipse plus that is nothing. It's not a coincidence. In every movie, when there's something like this going on, an evil, biblical something, there's always an eclipse, and then there's something else. Come on, man, y'all put the signs together, man.
Christian attempt to bind the devil, but again, they could be a remnant of pagan initiation rites. Many show the goat man in formal dress and a tuxedo-style cutaway formal coat and trousers, but with his usual horned goat face, and always with his tongue extended. Now, this tongue out pose seems to be popular with ancient gods, whether they're Mayan, Hindu, Babylonian, Egyptian, Greek, or even British. For some reason, the coat of arms from the Prince of Wales supports both a lion and a unicorn with their tongues extended, for instance. More than likely, this tongue position represents sex magic, fornicating with fallen angels. The ancient symbol of the horned god, referenced by Maureen Bruce in the quote that I made a moment ago, it allows us to connect our goat demon from the opening ceremony at the GBT to CERN. Despite the fact that the Large Hadron Collider sits 3 to 4 hours down a twisty road from the location, the horn god's circular logic and passion for human depravity, Hernunos, as is sometimes called, or Cernunnos, or the Green Man of British lore.
Cernunnos. So we see where they get the names from, man. Why all these names and all these projects and missions and all this stuff are named after ancient deities or destruction gods, the gods of destruction and stuff, or ancient, like I say, ancient deities. That's crazy. It's not a coincidence, man. Like I always say, it's not a coincidence.
Simply had to make an appearance at this occult ceremony. Josh Peck and I and many other researchers have written extensively regarding the in-game plans for tunneling beneath the earth and smashing atoms to smithereens as nothing more than a thinly veiled attempt to open portals. But the opening ceremony at Gotthard made it clear that these portals are intended to do something else, and that is to release demonic entities. The twin tunnels of the Gotthard base tunnel commence with twin portals on a single track. These northward and southward journeys symbolize the death, birth, death cycle of the Green Man, who dies in the fall and winter and rises in the spring, summer. The tunnel ceremony was all about sex rights and rebirth, leading to a new world order that's a complete reversal of the Judeo-Christian design. This included the triple goddess and the horned god, along with human sacrifice and a return to pagan worship, all of which lie at the center of this nauseating ritual play, which you can probably still watch on YouTube. Dancers dressed as miners climbed this rock face, and they dug into the earth, so to speak, to unveil what was beneath the earth, a great machine formed from human arms that rotated and churned into various shapes and design, many of which resembled the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. Once this opening was achieved, the miners stripped off their orange jumpsuit attire and took up arms. That is, they used staves to perform a dance routine that looked like warfare. It was this forensic dance that aroused a giant. So clearly, the endeavor connected to CERN is far more than Switzerland's braggadocio about an engineering feat. The connection between CERN and ritualistic summoning of a sleeping giant, the horned god of Cernunnos, or even Melkart. Both are types of the rising dying god, and Melkart slept for half the year, which may be why Elijah told the priests of Baal to call louder, because he might be sleeping. Of course, I can only speculate, but I note the connection between Nimrod, Apollo, and Abaddon, Apollyon at CERN, and the history of the region are all highly curious. Apollo was worshipped by the Romans of that area, as well as the Greeks and in central France. Apollo was equated with the Celtic god Atep Omerus. These two characters were combined to create Apollo Atep Omerus, which can be translated as great horseman or possessing a great horse. In the Celtic belief, horses were closely related to the sun, The interesting thing to note is the connection between this idea of Apollo being associated with horses in France, where part of the LHC and CERN resides, and what the book of Revelation states about Abaddon, where it says, "And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon." End quote. I also note that Revelation chapter 9, after describing how these devil worshippers will be...
Yeah, I gotta stop because he said something about the bugs or the cicadas, man. That's what he was talking about with the that's like breastplates or something like horses and the crowns or faces of men, and like they have crowns on their head. I think he talking about the cicadas that's supposed to be coming up out the ground on the 8th for the eclipse, man. They said it hasn't happened in a long time, and it's supposed to be like over 1 million of these cicadas coming up out the earth, man, and it's gonna be like something to see. It's like another historical site. Like I say, it's not a coincidence, and what he just said and that and all this adding together, like I say, man, ain't nothing a coincidence, man. All this stuff was already written, man. Like I say, I've been knowing about this stuff for a long time, man. Some I read and some it's just like, I guess, you know, I was meant to know. I just knew. It just came to me. I know where it come from. I can't tell everybody. You know what I'm saying? If you in touch with him, then you know. You know what I mean? You know where it come from, because he always gonna take care of his children. Let's get it.
Judged during the Great Tribulation period. It ends in verse 21 saying, "Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries," which is the Greek pharmakia, "nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts." Now, pharmakia is the word that describes the ancient occultic effort to use mind-expanding drugs during rituals in order to open a doorway for making contact with unseen supernatural entities. So, given these descriptions, is it possible that CERN will have something to do with the opening of the bottomless pit described in Revelation 9?
Possibility, guys, big possibility. Everything lining up.
At NASA, our mission is for all
Pay attention.
Humanity, and that's because space brings us together. There's no better proof than moments like this, a total solar eclipse. It's a moment when millions of people across North America will look to the heavens as the moon passes in front and between the sun and the earth. And it's a rare sight that we haven't seen in 7 years. And unusual things start to happen as the normal rhythms of Earth are disrupted. When you're seeing this eclipse, you ought to observe this. As the day appears to turn to dusk and then dark, people have heard birds stop singing. They've seen giraffes suddenly begin to gallop. Roosters start crowing and crickets chirp. So watch for these unusual behaviors. And we encourage you to help NASA observe the sights and sounds around you. Eclipses have a special power. They move people to feel a kind of reverence for the beauty of our universe. Their power is not only to unify us on Earth, but to further science and discovery.
Okay.
In 1919, Albert Einstein's theory of gravitational bending was proven when scientists measured how stars shift when the sun is blocked out by the moon. And today, over a century later, a total solar eclipse still brings great opportunity in science. Pam is going to share a little bit more about how NASA missions will use this rare moment to advance science. Safety is always NASA's #1 priority, and that remains true for this solar eclipse. Make sure you have the proper eye
Stop the cap.
protection,
I had to.
like the eclipse glasses. And as you look at the heavens on April the 8th, when the eclipse starts, please, please put those glasses on. Now, I'm going to hand.
So if all this stuff is going on and it can break the rhythms of our natural rhythms, you know what I'm saying? Why are y'all opening up CERN on that day? Like, not opening up CERN, but why are y'all starting a large why are y'all doing a collision on that day? Because they said the Large Hadron Collider was already started. They already started it, but they not doing the collision till that day or the day before. You know, that's what I read in another video earlier. And one more thing. Come on, man. He just told us, y'all, we're involved in a giant experiment on the 8th. Basically, that's what it is, a big experiment, and we're the guinea pigs. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section.
All right, popcorn's ready.
Hey, that's the fire alarm.
We gotta get out of here.
Wait for me! Come on, come on, come on!
Get out of my way! Fire.
Is it supposed to take this long? What's a good time for a mass evacuation of the entire plant?
45 seconds.
And what's our time so far?
I don't know, sir. This stopwatch only goes up to 15 minutes.
Damnation! What kind of slow coaches do I have working for me? Ah! Here comes one of our fellows now.
Oh,
I think I won, Mr. Burns.
Yes, you won, all right. You won more than you bargained for. What a disgraceful display! I've seen more orderly behavior in a Ritz Brothers film. You all need a serious lesson in teamwork.
Maybe he does, but I don't.
Hey, you take that back!
No, you take that back.
Hit him, Carl! You too, Lenny!
Can't be distracted by the BS, y'all. We gotta stay together. For real, though. If you know, you know. It's a safe haven, y'all. We gotta come together.
Can somebody explain this to me? Why in the heck did my 16-year-old son just message me telling me that next Monday their entire school is being let out at 11 a.m. so that everybody can go home and watch the solar eclipse? Like, I get that this is like a big deal. I even remember, I think it was around like 3rd or 4th grade, seeing a solar eclipse, and it was like not going to happen for 1,000 years back then. And I get it. But it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Can't you just pass out the glasses at school, let them walk outside, see the solar eclipse, and then everybody goes back inside? Like, we really have to cancel school or do early dismissal for this? I don't know. I might be overreacting, but I think this is absolutely ridiculous. I feel like the world today is finding every reason not to work.
You're definitely not overreacting, but you definitely are missing what's really going on in the signs. If they letting the kids out early for school at 11 a.m., they might as well not even went to school. That's the whole rest of the day off, man. That's because there's gonna be more to the eclipse than what they're telling you. They telling us, but y'all not really listening and paying attention. If they are doing the collision that day on the opposite side of the world, and we having an eclipse over here with all these different energies and frequencies going around in the world, they're telling you it's a possibility that the world could get shut down or something like this. Anything catastrophic could happen. Anything. With those doing those two things at once, come on, man. It's not gonna end well, man. I hope it does, but I'm saying it's gonna be some type of incident, man. Believe that. Mark my word, y'all. Remember I said it first.
People are talking about the eclipse, but they're not talking about this. The sun and the moon are not aligned on April 8th. They are in Pisces. Right now, if you go to your Skyview app and you push forward to April 8th, plug it in, it will show you that the sun and the moon are in Pisces. They are not aligned. They are sitting beside each other, but they are not aligned. How is that possible? Because the sun and the moon have been out of place since back in September 2023. I've been doing these videos telling you that the sun is not where it should be. People are telling me it's the calendar. The calendar's off. Don't worry about it. It's where the sun is in the sky that's different. It's not where it should be. This eclipse is showing you that I am telling you the truth. Because if we see an eclipse on April 8th, how is that possible? If the sun and the moon are in Pisces, it can't be an Aries eclipse, right? If the sun is in Pisces, and if the sun and the moon are not aligned, they have to be aligned in order for you to see an eclipse, correct? So I don't have to be a fucking astrophysicist to understand this, and neither do you. I'm trying to get this out to as many people as I can. Please share this because, I mean, this is just a no-brainer. These heavenly bodies are changing. They are not where they should be. And they damn sure will not show you an eclipse in the sky if they are not aligned.
Two questions, y'all. Do y'all believe it's going to be a real eclipse? Or do y'all think it's going to be a fake eclipse? Maybe it's what I was saying in the last video. Maybe they shooting up all these rockets with this wax and stuff like that to thicken up the cloud cover and make it seem like a fake eclipse. You know? Because they got some other alternative ulterior motives going on. Or could it be Nibiru? Yes, I said Nibiru. How many of y'all heard of Nibiru? Yeah, the ship that they tell you is a planet, or they told you it's a planetary ship. It's just a ship. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below in the comment section. Which do you think is possible? Let's get it.
Of our nationally kept secrets would shatter most people's imagination of what is possible.
This is probably one of the more well-known black-budget time travel projects, with the exception of the Montauk Project. Many whistleblowers have said that the program was not actually shut down, but just classified into deep black.
The people that know everything about Looking Glass, that have gotten all the reports and all the information, the elites of the world, probably figured out that that was the end of the game, and nothing could be manipulated beyond that point.
According to the alleged insiders, the Looking Glass technology was apparently used to look backward and forward in time, using the consciousness of an operator as a type of steering mechanism. The operator would sit in a chair that was apparently recovered from a downed extraterrestrial craft capable of interfacing with consciousness directly. When the device was turned on, strong toroidal fields of energy cycled about a pouch of water at the center, which acted as a sort of resonator for in-streaming energies from the point of focus maintained by the operator. The data was collected and projected onto video monitors at incredible speeds, which later needed to be de-interlaced to reveal discernible images. What's interesting is that the biases of the operator would have a direct effect on the images collected. For example, if one were to look back to the time of Jesus' crucifixion, if the person doing so was an atheist, they may not see anything at all. But if the person was a Christian, they may see the infamous crucifixion event. This is suggestive of a time-space mechanic in the universe, wherein the human mind is able to navigate through time itself. The work of Dewey B. Larson and his reciprocal systems theory provides the basis for this interpretation. Briefly, as described by Larson, the universe is broken up into two physical regions, as defined by motion. Below the speed of light, motion operates in 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. Above the speed of light, motion operates in 1 dimension of space and 3 dimensions of time. As bizarre as that sounds, the mind is uniquely equipped to navigate in time, which is able to access memories of the past, gain awareness of events in the present, conceive of future possibilities, and even imagine alternative events that did not actually happen. In other words, the human mind can select a point of focus, just like in remote viewing, and receive the information from the store of memories made during the experience.
Do you know the difference between Looking Glass and the Yellow Cube?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of what happened to the Yellow Cube and how it was used and so on? Are you...
I believe that the Yellow Cube still exists. I can't say for certain if it's on this planet, but I would say that it's definitely protected from use at this point.
Okay, well that coincides with the testimony we got.
The Yellow Cube or the Yellow Book would give you your possible future.
Yes.
So it took basically the choices that you would inherently make along a timeline and tell you what that timeline would be, given that you made all the choices that your brain would make.
Well, this is exactly what I was just going to ask you. What we were told is that leaders of governments and so on, people in high places, politically, would use this to try to see their most optimum future and then follow those. So they were using it to enhance their wealth, et cetera, in a very egotistical way. And that was part of the problem with it.
The Looking Glass device seems to be capable of the same type of process, to access a data stream from any conceivable location in space or time, steered via the consciousness of an operator. According to the testimony of Burish, the technology was provided to the human race during the Sumerian times, when an advanced contingent of future humans went back in time and provided that civilization assistance after a cataclysm known as the Deluge. The Sumerian cylinder seals were encoded with plans to build the Looking Glass device. Earlier versions of the project saw the development of an actual portal that an individual could move through to jump in time. According to Burish, accounts provided by captured beings known in the program as P-45s, future humans 45,000 years into the future, the Earth was destroyed by massive cataclysms around the year 2012. This is apparently because Looking Glass devices were actively being used during a major celestial alignment, which overloaded the organic energy grid of the planet. Burish further claims that the device has been dismantled as a result of discovering 2 probable timelines, one of which is the cataclysm described by the captured being. An attempt was made to look into the future, but no concrete data was able to be received past the infamous date of December 21st, 2012, suggesting that this date is a nexus point in time, whereby either Timeline 1 or Timeline 2 would gain momentum. In the last report, Burish suggested that Timeline 1, the positive timeline, had an over 80% likelihood of coming to fruition. Given that we are nearly a decade beyond the 2012 date, and no major cataclysms have occurred, we are most likely well entrenched within the positive timeline. This is undoubtedly one of the more intriguing topics in Awakening Times, which seems to be well hidden in popular works of fiction. Corey Good, a secret space program insider, claims to have reviewed documentation relating to this project.
It would be very hard to accept that all of this information that is currently held secret and classified.
Hey man, they was definitely dropping some gems. It kind of sounded like the machine that they say one of the guys in the Vatican made. I think it was called a chronovisor, Chronovisor, I think it was called. Y'all fact check me on that. And let me know in the comment section, because that was really, really good. Man, Project Looking Glass, we're gonna have to do a video on that next, man. After we're gonna say next after the antimatter after the antimatter video, which will be dropping tomorrow. Y'all, let's get it, man. Hey, if you was thinking about skipping, if I was you, I would, man, because it's a lot of game for it to be dropped, and you definitely want to pick it up. You definitely don't want to miss it. Let's get it. And y'all, don't forget to hit the like button, man. It's free. It ain't cost you nothing, man. It only take like 5 seconds. Come on.
Going to benevolent, and they're going to pass themselves off that they are going to be telling you that basically that we are their creation, that they own us because they created us. And the fact of the matter is they didn't. Okay, it's another lie, and the first group will probably be those from Sirius B that will be openly contacting us. They're full of shit. Okay? You know, the game continues, and a lot of people are going to fall for it, because the earth will be going through changes, and they'll come down and we'll save you, and, you know, this is the way, and so on and so forth. And, you know, basically what they're going to do is they're going to use our free will against ourselves. Because that's what you have. That's all you have, is your free will. It's the only true sovereignty you have in this menagerie of a holograph which we call existence. Okay, you are because you wanted to be. It's that simple. And if you don't want to be, then you can change that too. But it's your decision. Okay, it continues. I'm sorry. You fear a God whom a book says is a loving, forgiving God, who will eternally throw you into an abyss for making mistakes. It creates serious dysfunction, don't you think? Which way do I go? And you do nothing, you know? It is in our perspective where this fear of unworthiness and insecurity is created from. Many in your world, Alex, have come to understand that fear, the idea of fear, is their enemy. And all of you struggle between understanding and fear, and reason and fear. Please, we ask you to share this with your race. This struggle is in no way predetermined. And our perception is that this struggle will lead your world to peace and self-responsibility, or your extinction as a race. This would grieve us. It's time to return you now. And I was given that on 2/9/91. So, in dealing with the reflections that Morine and Phaseus have given me about our race, it's been difficult to want to come back, especially when I've seen how they treat each other. The very first time I was taken on board an Andromedan mothership, I have actually spent 3 months with them. I lived with them for 3 months in 1986. But but in our linear time, I was only gone 18 minutes. Time travel is a great thing. You know, I was home to make car payments and everything else. And I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, okay. How they treat each other. Anyway, the first time I was brought on an Andromedan mothership, and they are 900 miles in diameter. Okay. They are completely self-contained worlds. Everything they need is there. I had to wear a belt so that it would keep my physicality together, so that I could spend this time with them. With the very first time I walked on, and in the middle of, they're made up of different levels. The craft I was on had 24 different levels. And in the middle of these craft, there is a 21 mile by 21 mile park with trees and everything. Okay? And they use extensive technology and holographs. And they can literally create their sunrise, their sunset. Okay? And the trees and plants grow because it is a holograph, but it is real, even though they're creating it with technology. The very first time I walked on, there were children. They teach their children in the middle of these parks. Everything's done in nature, very much like the Native Americans used to do, when the teepee got too small. And I walked on, and there were a bunch of children there, and as we walked out of a corridor, down a corridor, and out into this huge space of what looked like, could be anywhere, like Agora Hills or someplace out here, a park, the children moved away from me. And I was really hurt, I was like, oh man. And Mornay immediately picked up what I was feeling, and he said, "It isn't you, we have been teaching them about your race." It's really not all that funny. Okay? They were afraid of us.
Yeah, basically.
And these are children I have never seen before, but immediately felt our energy, my energy, because I represented all of us. And I do the best I can, sorry. But I got my own stuff to work out too. So, they're learning, and I'm amazed that they still want to come back and help. Another time I had been waiting for them. They finally showed up, and as I was walking into the control room, I was being led by another Andromedan. Mornay was looking at a bunch of meters on the wall and some monitors measuring our atmosphere, and he looked really sad. So I said to him, "What's the matter?" And he just pointed to the atmosphere and he goes, "Don't they understand that it's here because they needed it? They don't understand our suicidal tendencies. They don't. I guess they have the perspective that we should really know better. I don't know where they got that. That's just one of them, Another time, Visayas was watching television on the ship. They were picking up television. And I told them that's not a good idea. Even on Earth, that's not a good idea.
How many of y'all believe he was actually on a Andromeda mothership and his story is real? Or do y'all think he just telling the story, making it all up in his head? Let me know down below in the comment section. I don't know, man. I kind of think he may be telling the truth, but then I think he playing, because he playing so much, I think he might be just telling the story, man. It's hard to tell.
And he had been watching a news broadcast about a shooting in Chicago. That's what it was, where a cop shot a man, a black man, and then rushed over and tried to save his life. He had a hard time understanding why the policeman would try to take the life and then try to save it. He didn't understand the contradiction, and I don't know that they've still clearly dealt with that. Our reality that we know, that we accept as reality, is extremely foreign to a lot of other different races. They simply don't understand it, and there's no way we could really truly rationalize it to them when they truly come from a space of unconditional love or mutual respect. And I have not done a good job in explaining it to them, because when I really stopped to think about it, it didn't make any sense to me at all either. So as Val would say, it's time for a new paradigm. And I guess that's what Ramtha is doing teaching all of you and those before you and those to come after you. I've given a lot of thought to our race and the character issues, and I just want to share with you some of my thoughts on the human race and about people. A lot of this comes from my own experience dealing with us. A human being whose heart shows no passion is a person who doesn't have a life. A human being who doesn't give from his heart or her heart is a person who will lie to you.
Exactly.
I've had to learn that the hard way. A human being whose heart is committed to nothing is a person who will not try, who will only take. A human being who is not willing to risk or take chances for love is a person who is absolutely empty inside. They're already dead. They're just sucking up air.
Woo, that last one was cold. Woo, Alex, you cold. Alex, cold, yo. Boy, oh, you was cold, man. That was a cold quote, that last one. The ending, ooh. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below. Alex was dropping them gems at the end, man. Y'all better pick them up, man. I'm telling you. Pick them up so you can become a wealthy in the mind, you know what I'm saying? With your mind state. Let's get it.
And I can actually say this out loud because everybody else has been put on notice already. That yes, a ship did leave here and was opening the door and trying to go somewhere else. But what's happening is that, as you know, certain timelines have been created. At one time there were 4, then there was 3, now we're down to 2. The last 2 timelines are merging. The lower frequency is a timeline that was created where the Nazis won World War II. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. You could just imagine how screwed up that probably would have been for the world. Okay, but anyway, they used the advanced technology they were given by the Aldebarans and their relationship with the Greys, and they were able to do what they did. Well, this timeline is actually merging with our present current timeline. And this is why we're seeing the speeding up of the New World Order, and we see fascism almost everywhere appearing all over the planet, where these corporations, these international banking institutions, I mean, they're not even hiding it anymore. They're just coming right out front, and they're just saying, this is what it is. Okay? And you see this. You see the families, and then there's all these rumors about the families, royal families, being on the run. Though an element of that is true, you have to understand that they have enormous control over the mechanisms that make our planet work on a day-to-day level.
Ooh, more gems. Something to think about.
Some of you are going to recognize this. It's a CERN update. The European Organization for Nuclear Research, based out in Geneva, Switzerland. They're cutting ties with Russia. So it's actually a little creepy because there are going to be hundreds of Russian scientists who are going to be getting fired from CERN because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. And the timeline is somewhere towards the end of this year. If you're new to CERN, let me just go ahead and catch you up. If you already know what CERN is, let me give you a brief reminder. They are a particle physics research laboratory, I should say, research center. They run a bunch of different experiments. Their most widely known experiment is the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider. That's what this is right here. The reason this is important is because countries from all over the world worked together to build it years after World War II. CERN started after World War II, but this was built in the year 2010. So CERN was built and put together, I don't know the exact date, but it was like very soon after World War II ended, kind of as a way to try to collaborate scientifically is what we're told at least. But the LHC was not built into 2010, and it only took about a couple years, give or take a few months maybe, for them to discover the Higgs boson, look into it. Anyway, Russia's status as an observer country, that was suspended back in March of 2022 because of their advance on Ukraine. However, CERN does still have something called a cooperation agreement with Russia, and it doesn't expire for a while. That is scheduled to expire on November 30th, towards the end of 2024. You might be asking, what's the difference? What does it even mean to have observer status at CERN? What does it mean to have a cooperation agreement? YouTube never talks about this stuff. They just talk about particle collisions. I will explain. So having observer status and a cooperation agreement with CERN, two different things. Observer status is like when they come together and have meetings and presentations and stuff like that. It's not necessarily required for any specific projects that you're working on, really. It's just to go and observe all the events that they have. You know, some countries, many countries all over the world are like, oh wow, CERN is like leading the world in particle physics research. I would like to kind of go in on a meeting and see what they're doing in there. I'm just interested. So you would sign up for observer status as a country. A cooperation agreement is like a contract that you agree to work on something like a project or repairs or anything really. It's like contracted work at CERN. So it seems that for the observer status, I mean, I'll have to do more research, but it seems that was taken away back in March of 2022. So to me, it doesn't seem like that was like a contract that CERN had to wait for a deadline for. But it seems like this cooperation agreement is kind of like a contract because CERN is worried and they're wanting to get rid of about 500 Russian scientists, but they just can't until November 30th. With the war going on, it's kind of intense stuff when you think about it, especially when Russia did contribute to the building of the LHC, which is literally the human species' most advanced particle accelerator in all of history. It's like the most advanced scientific contribution in this reality, and Russia helped with it, so they're not going to be too happy to get kicked off the project anymore. I could be wrong though, because Logachev is saying something else. Not only that, but the lab is no longer receiving any funding from Russia. In the meantime, CERN is preparing to find replacements. Oh my god. Oh, this guy? This is Pavel Logachev. I'm small now. Now you can see his entire mustache. He is the head of the Budker Institute of Nuclear Physics at the Siberian Branch Russian Academy of Sciences. He says that by discontinuing the cooperation between Russia and CERN, that they are going to slow down the progress of science for the entire planet. He also says that this is going to affect the global economy as well. He also says that the only people who are going to be unhappy about the situation are the people at CERN. Here are my receipts. And what Pavel says is that the loss of access with Russia to the Large Hadron Collider won't be a tragedy because he believes that Russian scientists have other important projects to work on back at home. So, I don't know about you guys, but to me it's a pretty intense thing that's going on there. I know there's a million things going on right now. A lot of people paying attention to Schneider or Israel and Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, the eclipse that's coming up, guys. And it's all happening at the same time. I wanted to look at CERN and be like, okay, what's going on? I know all these organizations all over the world are doing stuff every day, full-time, non-stop. So it's kind of impossible to keep up with all of it. But I figured, everybody's talking about the same stuff. I'll do a little bit of looking into CERN to see what they're up to. And I found this. I'm like, oh my God, why is this not trending? But I'm sure it will, especially once November comes up. Maybe. I don't know, because in November there's going to be elections. In November, CERN's going to be firing all these scientists. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff going on in the world because the world is a big place and so much stuff happens every day. But this is my update for you guys. I'm going to be doing more digging into CERN because there's a lot to unpack. There are decades of information and research when it comes to this organization. I do just want to add before I conclude this TikTok that CERN finished their annual winter shutdown. They did some maintenance over the winter. As we all know, they shut down every winter, so that way the rest of the country can use energy because of how much energy CERN uses. So as far as I am aware, I'm following Dr. Clara Nellist. I believe her username is Particle Clara on TikTok. I can tag her in the video if you guys want to go follow her. It's because of her TikTok I now know that the shutdown has ended and CERN is now running beams. So I believe, I don't know all the technical terminology because I'm not a particle physicist and I haven't studied to the level that CERN employees have, but it sounds to me like they have beams running. They don't have any collisions going on quite yet, as far as I know, but they are getting ready for the data collection season. They open back up. So basically, be ready for a lot of CERN research type of headlines coming up. So, in my opinion, some pretty major CERN news. They're going to get rid of Russia in November, and they're back up and running. So that's a pretty good CERN TikTok right there. Feel free to follow, share, whatever you want, do some research. Appreciate you all, and I'm going to do more looking into CERN right now.
Why do y'all think Russia is not worried about being kicked out of the CERN project, man? Me personally, I believe they got enough knowledge and insight and on what's going on with that over there and on how to make their own. Maybe they're gonna be working on their own LAC or something, some sort of, I don't know, something similar. I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking of right now. That's the type of idea I have in my head with Russia, because it's a reason why they just stepping off and not, with no rebuttal or nothing like that. If y'all know Russia from the past and the history, what we've been taught, then it's something deeper to it going on. Like, there's a reason why they're not really trying to rebuttal. It's something more going on, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below in the comment section. Let's get it.
The different frequencies and genetic background. This allowed higher dimensional spirits, souls, to actually come in and incarnate into our physicality. Now, it has always been that there was this rule, you could not intervene unless directly asked. Well, by keeping us blind, deaf, and stupid, we didn't know to ask. We would ask Creator, but many of our concepts about what God actually is and what it represents, they've been altered as well. So we didn't have a clear perspective about pretty much anything. But the fact that we were this vast genetic pool, this allowed spiritual soul beings, soul groups from 4th dimension, 5th dimension, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th to actually fall down into time and incarnate into human physicality because of the genetics, all the different genetics. This allowed them to come in and function, and to the degree where the souls could attach to the nervous system in our bodies. This has literally, it will be shown in the future when our junk DNA gets turned on, which is where all of our cellular memories are stored, including our history, the history of the soul. All of that is stored in our junk DNA. When those get turned on, what we're going to realize is that we are a race of avatars. We're a race of avatars. We cover, we have the knowledge, we have the experience of virtually all of our universal experience on all the dimensions. And one of the things that just came out a couple of years back in Switzerland is this program called the Blue Brain Project, where they were able to combine several different pieces of technology And what they have been able to do is truly map the brain. And one of the things that they discovered, Michael, was that out of all the people that they were able to test this on, this technology, every single one of us had multidimensional structures in our brain, going from 4th all the way to 11th. And what's amazing is that these these structures were on. They were turned on. They could see activity, which means that whether we're aware of it or not, our experience is being communicated to other soul groups in other dimensions. So we're live. Everybody's watching this movement. And as insignificant as this might seem to those of us here or those who are not awake, what happens here greatly affects not only 4th and 5th dimension, Michael, but it affects the entire universe. The entire universe. And we are square in the middle of it, which is why, and you probably remember this expression that the A's said, that many of us had to come back in time to right a terrible wrong. That's because at some point in the past, we tried to make this jump and we weren't able to do it. And the only piece to that not happening is because they weren't able to merge the two timelines, the last two timelines. They weren't able to merge them. So it didn't click. It didn't happen. So whatever they did, they now came back. Many of us have agreed to come back, and now we're on a single timeline. And that single timeline is taking us to where we need to be. And one of the proofs of that is the fact that most people, well, as for everyone that I know of anyway, they are no longer having deja vus. And the reason we were having deja vus is because we were jumping, our consciousness was jumping from two different timelines. So we might relive something here, and then it would happen here, and we'd have the deja vu. Well, no one's having deja vu anymore, okay, because we're on a single timeline. Everything on this timeline we are creating here and now, from this moment on forward for the first time. And we're also getting all of this assistance from the universe, from many different extraterrestrial races, benevolent races. And the regressives, they are running and ducking for cover, but there's nowhere for them to go. They simply cannot escape the fact that the universe is raising its entire frequency. 5th will move to 6th, 6th will move to 7th, 7th will move to 8th. We're going to go from 4, we're going to go from 3. Well, we're actually part of, many of us consciously are already in 4th, going to 4th and then to 5th. And in fact, the Earth herself has a placeholder there waiting for her to make the jump. I don't have a timeline, and I wouldn't trust the A's with their timeline because, they don't know how to tell time in our reality. They're really good about the facts, but they just can't tell time. And most of the other races have a difficult time with it because this is not a timeline. This is event-based reality that we're creating. So it happens when it happens.
So this single timeline that we're on now, I mean, that's very different to, and I'm assuming you're talking about Atlantis, that Atlantis couldn't work it out, that they had the two timelines, and at the end, the whole thing fell apart. And many
it
of us
imploded on top of each other.
Okay.
The timelines imploded on top of each other.
All right, and many of us are kind of like the returning Atlanteans or starseeds that are here this time around to help the transition from 3D to 4D and so forth move forward smoothly. So what do you think is happening right now that has made this single timeline possible? You talk about the defeat of the regressives. the deep state falling apart, that we are going to be experiencing a global revolution by 2024. So is this what you're seeing, this single timeline, that we're kind of like moving towards something incredible?
And as these agendas become uncovered of what their true intent was, and everybody sees it for what it really was, it falls away. It just goes away because no one is using their consciousness or intention or emotion feeding any more of that agenda. We're like, no, we're not doing this, and it goes away. Okay, so you see, that's one of the tricks that they used against us. They realized that on an energetic level and a consciousness level, we're creators. We are big time creators. And if we focus on something, that's where the energy goes. And all they had to do was to keep us focused on an agenda. And even though we didn't realize what it was, as long as we believed it was true, it would take us there, and we would create it and manifest it physically. And all they had to do was sit there and wait for it to physically manifest and then take control of it. And then they would control us with those agendas. So as we start to wake up and we begin to see what these agendas were all about and the true intent, which was to control and manipulate humanity, and we withdraw our energy and our consciousness, our focus on it, it'll collapse all by itself because we're no longer feeding it. Now what's happening is that we're turning our focus away from all of that, and for really the first time, we're thinking about creating a reality that we want, something that's genuine, something that's fully integrated with not only the God presence, but with the rest of the universe and the galaxy. And, you know, on an intuitive level, we know these answers because, Michael, there's not a single soul on this planet that was born and hatched here. We've all come from some other place. We all have cellular memory of other existences and other realities.
True that, man. What do y'all think about that clip there? Man, he was definitely dropping them gems once again. Shout out to Alec Collier. Man, hey, that's a lot. So he said a lot to make your mind wonder, yo. Yeah, let me know what y'all thinking, though. Let's get it, man.
These laws and how the spirit world dictates the laws in the physical world and so on and so forth. Can you elaborate on what you mean by the spirit world in the Pyramid Code document?
Everybody has a soul, as we know. The soul represents the spiritual world, and the body represents the physical world. The brain that operates your entire body by being controlled by the soul is a combination of the spiritual and physical world intertwined together. In the beginning of time, man used to be 90% in the spirit world and 10% in the physical world. Today, it's opposite. It's 10-90.
What do you mean by that when you say 90%? Like, what does that actually look like?
If you look at today's world on humanity, most people are very much into the physical world, materialistic things. They're getting away from nature. They're getting away from God. They're getting away from the divine. They don't believe in anything. They believe in money. They believe in power. They believe in governments. They believe in physical leaders. So it's a process that evolved over many, many years. Unfortunately, most people today are 90% physical and 10% spiritual. Some people are not even that. So that's what I mean when I said physical and spiritual world.
So you focused on the physical side. Can you elaborate on what 90% spiritual looks like in action?
The spiritual world will bring you to a more positive way of living. No wars. No lies. More transparency. More unity. No borders. No religions. Spirituality hates religion, and religion doesn't really like spirituality, although that's the way the religious leaders represent it in the world today. But in the spirit world, they are enemies.
Let's talk about religion for a second. We'll go back to the Pyramid Code. So a few thousand years ago, I don't remember the dates off the top of my head, but a few thousand years ago, You wrote what you wrote in that document from your firsthand memories. How did religion play a role at that point in time? Were they more spiritual back then?
Man, they got bad fly problems or something. I keep seeing a fly flying around on the screen. That's crazy. I'm just saying that so y'all won't think it's my screen and the flies over here flying around my camera screen. Yeah, let's go.
Were they more religious? Did religion exist in the way that it exists today?
They were more spiritual, but very far from being 90%. Religion was created by man in order to control the masses. If you pay attention, it's really a book of laws that dictates how you have to live. Most of it is very positive things. I have nothing against it. However, it was in order to control the masses. They created a religion. They gave it a name. They gave it a prophet. Either Moses, Muhammad, Jesus, whatever you want to call it. But it was all created by man. Spirituality disappeared from this world, and it became more and more physical. So transparency was gone. Deceit, lies, and wars came into play. And that's where we are today. We're in a very, very low place today spiritually.
Again, let's go back to religion. I'll give you my opinion, then I want to hear yours. I agree with you in terms of control and control of the masses and all that. But when you look at the books, if you want to look at the Quran, the Torah, the New Testament, they're beautiful books in and of themselves. In my opinion, the problem was what was done with those books after. So my question for you is, do you believe the books are corrupted? Or do you believe that there was a clean and clear base in terms of its potential, and we took it to a negative place as human beings with our own free will?
It's a combination of the two.
Can you elaborate?
Most people believe that the Bible was written by God, and the Bible is the base for Christianity and Islam. They all base their religion off the Bible.
When you say the Bible, you're talking about the Old Testament.
Yes, but the Bible, it was written by man. Therefore, there's a chance for corruption.
1 second. We always have these conversations, and
I always say that, man. Anything that is made by man or touched by man is tainted and contaminated. You can't trust it. You can't believe it, because man is always going to add his own 2 cents. Always. And y'all know that. If you didn't, now you know. Let's get it.
Now I want to put it on record, because sometimes people think that because I interview you, I agree with you. I don't agree with you on this one, and I want to make that clear. And maybe I'll even prove something to you through your own logic in a way. You're saying, from our prior conversations, that the Bible was not written by God, it was written by a human being. I agree with you. That's what it tells us. If you go to the Old Testament, it says, Moses went, received this basically download of information and laws and codes and so on and so forth, came down over a period of time, him and his helpers basically documented this, and that's where the Old Testament came from, and it kept going. Where I disagree with you is the fact that who's to say that that doesn't come from a higher place, and why is that higher place not a divine source? Because just like, not comparing myself to any of those individuals, but there are people like myself and many others that we get downloads. You sit there and you receive like, wow, this is a realization, a revelation. Now, it may not...
Exactly what I was talking about when I was saying earlier about how this all was written, and you know how I know, and if you're close to him, if you know, he gonna take care of his children. There we go. He just said it all. Put it out there for y'all. Pick it up.
The original, because somebody else may have thought about it, but it's original in your own experience of when it came to being and where it came from. I would say in that way, that download of information, whatever you want to call it, came from somewhere, and that something, by your definition of God or divine or source, that's what it is. So how can you sit here and tell me that those books were not written by that? I agree with you that they weren't physically written by that, but I think we can both agree that they were inspired by that.
No, I agree they were inspired. Yes, absolutely. But everything is connected to source. Even though somebody committed murder yesterday, it's connected to source somehow. It doesn't mean that murder is a positive thing.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that the source downloaded the information to go kill somebody. We don't understand the process. So anything that we don't understand in life, we decided to call it God. Hitler happened for a reason. We might not understand or agree with the reason that it happened, but you have to agree with me that he did not come out of nowhere. It's connected. Everything in life that happens to you, that happens to this world, is connected to source.
So you don't believe that it's possible that something that was basically transmuted or went through a human vessel could not be corrupted? Is that what you're telling me?
If we agree that Moses was inspired by the source, by the divine, came down, and eventually wrote it down, but if you learn history, Moses did not write it down. The Bible was written down by, if I'm not mistaken, his name was Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi or something. That was his name. And he decided to take the Bible and put it in writing.
No.
Yes.
No, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about the fact that there's the written Torah, the written Old Testament, and then in Hebrew they call it Torah Sheba'al Peh, which is the oral Torah, which that was written down, and that, I'm willing to agree with you, may have been corrupted over time by broken telephone. Fine. But if you go to the source, again, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is true. All I'm asking you is, maybe you're wrong. And maybe it does come from a very high place.
You're mixing two things. Torah Sheba'al Peh. How do you say it in English?
The oral Torah.
The oral Torah that you're talking about was written the way you said it many years later. But the written Torah that you're speaking about, when was it written? When Moses came down. He didn't come down with the full Torah. He came.
So everybody been talking about this new Baphomet.
Hey, I know y'all seen all them flies in the video too, but y'all don't forget to pick up the game they dropping, man. Let me know what y'all think about that clip down below in the comment section. Let's get it, man. This here is creepy. I'm definitely not eating this.
Burger that McDonald's is dropping. Now I did some research on it, and I found out that it's AI generated. Yeah, somebody AI generated the burger in this little demon toy with a bunch of more other burgers and demon toys. Now there's something a little more sinister that's going on with this picture than a Baphomet burger. See, what we gotta realize is AI done got to the point to now people don't know what's real from fake. Like AI can create anything and make it believable. The minds of millions of people. Pictures like this that's AI generated knows how to trick the subconscious mind of humans. Like, look how real this burger and this toy looks. Finna go on some times, my people, where we're gonna have to know how to discern what's real and what's fake. Cause we got things like Project BB that's coming. You're gonna have to know what's real from what's fake. Now let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments though. Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned.
For real though, man, how many of y'all gonna go out and buy that if they make that Baphomet burger, man? Is y'all willing to try that black burger? I'm definitely not, man. I don't even want to go to McDonald's no more. You feel me? Whether they serving that or not, man. For real, for real. That's sickening, man. That's man, hey. If that ain't blasphemous, I don't know what is, man. That is crazy. They get out of hand with this. AI is getting way out of hand with this stuff, man.
Stay woke, family. Where do I see black people in the next 10 years?
Pay attention.
I'm going
Must
to say
watch.
that as we sit here in 2024, that if we don't fix this in the next 10 years, which will be 2034, then by 2054, we will all but be exterminated, annihilated, or incarcerated in this country. Right now, as you know, there is a government-sanctioned and financed migrant.
Just pay attention to what's going on right now with all the migrants and stuff, the illegal immigrants and stuff, man. I'm gonna let this man cook.
Takeover of key black cities in this country. They're bringing in the migrants to take over New York City from the blacks, to take over Chicago from the blacks. I was in Kansas City. They have a migrant community. New Jersey has a migrant community. I was in Sacramento, migrant community. Antioch, migrant community. Los Angeles has already had one. The point that I'm making is America never intended black people to be here long term. They never intended us to be here long term. In their opinion, we have worn out our welcome. So to help usher us out the way, they're going to bring the migrants in to exhaust all of the remaining social services so there's none left for us. They're going to take over all of the available industry jobs, low pay and labor jobs, so there's nothing available for us.
Can I ask you something? Do you believe that's a target towards black people or all minorities? No matter
Black
if
in
you're
particular.
Hispanic,
Black in particular. And I'm going to tell you why. The migrants are already Hispanic. Asians have already been chosen by the white power structure to be the priority minority. So the Asians are set.
Yeah.
The Native Americans have their reservations. Latinos are the migrants. Indians are already doing well, East Indians. Arabs already have their stake. Who are the only people in America who do not control any part of the American economy? It's the American African. It's black folks. Look at the Indians, their share of the hotel market. Look at their share of the fast food markets. Look at the European Jews with the banking industry, the Asians with the import and export. If you look, there's a color on every sector of society. What sector of society do black people control? We can't say music and entertainment because although we are the raw product, we are not the controllers of those corporations. Look at hip hop. Most of that is controlled by Caucasians. Look at Hollywood. Caucasian. What do we own and control? And if we are going to survive this economically, black people need to come together, your generation in particular, and decide what part of the American economy are we going to corner and monopolize? Because it ain't about competition. It's about monopolization. People are trying to monopolize aspects of society. Nobody wants competition. What did John D. Rockefeller say? He said competition is a sin. And what did the Rockefellers do in order to take over the oil industry? They sabotaged all the competitors so there would be no competition. The problem with us, Brother Aristotle, is our religious indoctrination has taught us that the way to succeed in the world is to collaborate with other groups. Nothing wrong with respecting other groups, but guess what? Nobody is interested in collaboration. When the Chinese come to Atlanta, they're not coming here to share with you. They're coming to find a piece of their own pie. When the Arabs get here, when the Jews, who's looking to collaborate with black people? Nobody. But we're looking to collaborate with anyone. We're extending a hand that is never reciprocated. We have to get the eye of the tiger. We have to get the dog mentality that says, I'm going to fight for a piece of this American dream so my grandchildren's grandchildren can eat food, wear clothes, and sleep in a home with a roof on top of it. We are not as aggressive economically as we should be as a people. Imagine if we were as aggressive with our financial investments as we are with our materialistic consumptions. Think about that. A sister will go to the other side of Atlanta to get the right weave. A brother will go to the other side of Atlanta to get the right pair of Jordans. You see this? Look at how we go out of our way to buy things that have no true value or impact on the community. But when it comes to the things that have an impact on the community or that we should be valuing, very little interest in it. Before we can have an economic revolution, there has to be a psychological revolution. If we don't change the way we think, we never change the way we spend.
Woo! And that was some gems, man. I hope y'all picking up the game that he was dropping, man, because he dropped a lot of good game and gems, man. I usually don't agree with Mr. Umar, Dr. Umar, whatever y'all want to call him, but hey, I have to agree with him on that one, man. He was talking that talk, man. Let's see if we can walk that walk. See if he can walk that walk too, you know. And y'all, with that said, man, if y'all been here from the beginning and y'all still here kicking with me, man, I sure appreciate y'all hanging out with me, man, because this was a good one. I know y'all enjoyed it. With that said, y'all, that's the end of the video. It's your boy Koozie. I'm out. Holla.